Hey, happy Easter! Happy Resurrection Day! The resurrection is the most pivotal event for Christianity, right? In 1 Corinthians, Paul says, if Christ has not been raised, your faith is futile. If only for this life we have hope in Christ, we are of all people most to be pitied. If the resurrection is not true, Christianity is worthless. Let's take a quick look at the evidence for the resurrection. If we're going to be scientific, we go where the evidence leads, right? If we're going to be an investigator, whether that's a crime scene investigator or any other kind of investigator, we go where the evidence leads. We need to do our best to put our presuppositions aside and go where the evidence leads. We all have presuppositions, right? We need to put those aside and go where the evidence leads. I want to just share with you 3 facts that are not disputed even by skeptical scholars who specialize in the resurrection. First of all, very early, Jesus' disciples told that he was raised from the dead. Secondly, Jesus' disciples taught that Jesus appeared to both individuals and groups and both friends and foe. And thirdly, Jesus' disciples were willing to suffer and endure martyrdom for their preaching. Again, these 3 facts are not disputed by skeptical scholars who specialize in the resurrection. Yet they would refuse to believe. So what other possible explanations are there? Some would say maybe it's a legend, it's a myth that developed over time. Even skeptical scholars would agree that Jesus' disciples were talking about the resurrection very early, too early for legend to develop. Maybe hallucination. I'm told that that's one of the most popular hypotheses, one of the most popular explanations for these historical events, this historical teaching. Well, they've done a lot of studies on hallucinations, and an hallucination is a private event. A group hallucination would be as big of a miracle as the resurrection. Jesus appeared to both friends and foe. Jesus appeared to James, his half-brother, who was not a believer before the crucifixion. He appeared to Paul, originally Saul, who had persecuted Christians. Jesus is the last person that Paul expected to see or wanted to see. The hallucination hypothesis just does not work. Maybe it was just plain deceit. Maybe they were lying. But Jesus' disciples were willing to suffer and endure martyrdom for their preaching. Liars make very poor martyrs. The first century church grew quickly, despite intense persecution. Many Christians suffered and died. We have many reports of this inside and outside of the Bible. Again, liars make very poor martyrs. The most logical explanation of the historical evidence is that the resurrection is true. Yes, I know, dead critters stay dead. Yes, they do, except for the intervention of God. The resurrection of Jesus is highly improbable without the intervention of God. But if we go where the evidence leads, the most logical explanation is the resurrection of Jesus. If the resurrection is true, Christianity is true. If Jesus was raised from the dead, then this life here on earth is not all that there is, and that changes everything. Whether it's tragedy, death, dealing with the coronavirus, or anything else. If Jesus is raised from the dead, then this life here on earth is not all that there is, and that changes everything. Happy Easter. Happy Resurrection Day.